All right. This is a little different presentation than I'm used to giving. I'm used to talking about physics and engineering and stuff like that. But in May, this last May, was my wife's and my 50th wedding anniversary. And so what we did is we went to Iceland for that anniversary. And it was a wonderful trip. We left about May 15th and came back about June 3rd or 6th, somewhere in there. So it was about 3 weeks. And Iceland, let's see if I can make that a little bit bigger. No, evidently not. It's an island country. It's about 300 miles across east to west and about 190 miles north to south. And other than, I mean, this is obviously a shot that I took off the web, but all the pictures I'm going to show you were taken with my iPhone. I used to carry a 35 millimeter camera to take pictures because I like doing photography. But I took all these pictures with an iPhone. The other thing that made this trip different than other trips that we had taken is we travel with a group, and it's overseas adventure travel. And the leader gave us a call. So I asked him on the call, well, how much local money should I get when I land? He said, don't get any. Everywhere I went, you could either pay with Apple Pay or Android Pay, and that was the preferred method of payment. So it really made the money side of it very easy. So what we did is we landed at the airport. It was Keflavik, which is down in this area. And then we took a ferry over to the Westmann Islands, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. And then we did a tour of the Golden Circle, which is in this area, and we'll talk more about that. Then we went, and my wife is very proud of herself for being able to say this word. I don't know if I'm saying it correctly or not, because Icelandic is almost impossible to pronounce. So this is the Snæfellsnes Peninsula. And so then we took a road trip up to the north and got up to a town called Akureyri. So this is a relief map that is in the city hall in downtown Reykjavik. I was very impressed with their map, and what it is it's looking. This is the west end of Iceland. So north is up here, south is down here. Reykjavik is down in this area. The Golden Circle is in here. This is the Snæfellsnes Peninsula, if I'm saying that right. And one thing about going to Iceland, you have to be prepared for the weather. We took rain pants. We took layers of clothing. I think I had a down insert. It was lightweight down because we were there in May, so the temperature was in the 40s and 50s. I think sometimes it got up into the 60s, but the wind is ferocious. The wind would go 40. We probably had some gusts that were like 50 miles an hour. And this was our first day, and this was when we finally got a break in the rain. So Reykjavik is up in here, And this is the southern edge of Iceland. And the Westmann Islands is right down here to try to give you an idea of where we were going, because the first place we really went was to Westmann Islands. And there's one feature in here that I want you to particularly pay attention to, and this is the port that we came into on a ferry. Now, we were supposed to have a 30-minute ferry ride out to Westmann Island. And I don't know if you know it or not, but you can get an app on an iPhone that's got a level that'll tell you how many degrees things tilt. Well, I put it on the ledge on the ferry as we were going across. The wind was so strong that the boat listed to the starboard side by 6 degrees. The maximum swing to the port side was 17 degrees. So it was back and forth and back and forth. A number of people lost their cookies. Fortunately, well, I didn't, fortunately. Unfortunately, my wife did. She's not sure she's going back on a boat again. But so there was a volcano that basically almost destroyed the Westmann Islands and destroyed a lot of the buildings that were there. And that was January 25th, 1973. And you see all these houses in here? They're gone. This was a picture that I took in the museum, because they have a museum that they've set up there that's very interesting. So this shows you the port, and this is the area, and the eruption, and the lava came down in this direction. And Iceland has kind of a unique relationship with the United States. It became independent from Denmark. Let's see, when was that? There was an agreement it was part of the Danish-Swedish consortium that broke up in 1500, and Iceland went with Denmark. So Iceland is basically a Scandinavian country. Then they got their independence somewhere, I think it was in the 1920s or so. They were mostly independent. Oh, no, it was in the 1930s when Germany took over Denmark. They basically declared their independence from Denmark. But then the British were afraid that the Germans were going to invade, so they invaded. They basically sent a warship, but in order to free up the British fleet, the U.S. sent in its boats and protected Iceland because it was, quote, neutral. Then in 1944, they became a separate country. But when the volcano erupted in 1972, the flows were coming down in this area, and they needed some way to stop the lava, or it was going to destroy the port. And they knew if it destroyed the port, then their livelihood was gone. Fortunately, on January 24th, there was a big storm. And so all the fishing boats were in the harbor. The volcano started to erupt. The people needed a way off the island because it was exceedingly dangerous. And they had all these fishing boats that they could take off. And they said as they sailed out of the port, they could look down underneath and see the glow of the lava in the water underneath them. So this is a picture of a church during that eruption. And it was so strong that it would generate its own lightning. And of course, it wasn't just lava that was a problem, it was the cinder that got thrown out of the volcano, that the weight of that just would collapse roofs and the like. That's where the city used to be. So you can see the port entrance here. To change gears a little bit, Iceland has its folk tales like other countries do. And so they've got their trolls and their little people and the like. And I'll let you guess which one of the two is the troll here. And how many of you have read the Lord of the Rings trilogy by J.R. Tolkien? It's a wonderful book. It's an anti-war book. His purpose in writing it was to show the horrors of war. And it's got a lot of imagery in it. It turns out that I learned on this trip that some of that imagery came from Iceland. Because what happened is that Tolkien spoke Icelandic, which for somebody in Scotland was kind of unusual. Well, he hired a nanny who was from Iceland to come over. And so I'm confident that she shared stories about trolls and little people, and that's probably where the hobbits came from. That's my wild-ass guess. So it's kind of interesting how things fit together. And these are the little people, and they're the Yule lads. And what they do is they are pranksters. They play tricks on people. And there are 13 of them that come out around the 13 days of Christmas. And they do things like steal bread, steal milk, probably steal cookies, although I didn't see that, and slam doors and do different things. So it's kind of an interesting Christmas tradition that we learned about. But you don't want to mess with their mother, because their mother likes to eat little kids. And that may be one of the ways of getting the kids to behave, but they tried to get away from that. So after we came back from the Westmann Islands, we went around the Golden Circle. And this is kind of one of the must-dos in Iceland. Because it takes you to a geothermal area with glory pools. Like, I really like the colors in these. This was a stream with a small waterfall that was there, and this was at, if I say it properly, Thingvar. Because Thingvar is, Iceland had one of the earliest forms of, quote, democracy. It was a representative form, and what they would do is they would meet at Thingvar, and each region would send a representative. Now, in order to be a representative who was sent there, you either had to be rich enough or have neighbors who would take care of your farm while you were gone for the month that the Thingvar met. Oh, and I should have mentioned, this started, I think it was around 750. Let's see. Yeah, it was on that order, and it continuously met up until the 1700s. And the thing is it was self-limiting, because if I wanted to go and I needed John to take care of my plot of land, I had to be on good terms with John, or he wasn't going to take care of my land. And if he didn't take care of my land, I couldn't go. So there was a sort of a self-selection of the representatives that went to this. And when they got to it, they would trade the laws. The laws were all spoken at that point in time. And they would recite the laws, and then those would get distributed out in the different regions. And Thingvar is in one of the rift valleys there, because Iceland sits on the where the North American and the European plates are coming apart, and that's why it's an active volcanic area. And one of my goals was to simultaneously stand on the North American and the European plate. And so I got the opportunity to do that. So that's one of the things off my bucket list. Then there's a number of waterfalls, and this is Gullfoss waterfall. And these are fed by the glaciers. And then we went up to one of the glaciers, and we took this van up. And I thought it was really interesting, because they put you in the van and you're driving along the highway, and then they come off the highway, they get out and deflate the tires. They take a lot of the air out of it so that they get more traction when they're on the ice and snow. And so this is a picture looking at the glacier. As you can see, we had a little bit of sunlight that day. I wish there had been more sunlight. And the different layers in there come from the ash that gets deposited in the snow. So you get a layer of ash, a layer of snow, a layer of ash, and a layer of snow. And then that's looking the opposite direction. The glacier has receded back, And I thought that there was some neat green color in that. I don't know why it's so pixelated. So the golden circle is in here. Now we're headed over to the Snifelness Peninsula. And the Icelandic horse is a certain breed associated with it. And it lives in a harsh climate. So they're not real large horses. They're smaller horses, but I mean you can ride them and the like. And they've been bred to have 5 different gaits. So they've got an extra gait that they have, and it's a real smooth gait. Now I'm going to show you a video, and there are 2 riders. The second rider is carrying an absolutely full glass of beer, riding the horse. Oops. What? Yeah, I did this at home too. It skipped the video. I don't know why. Well, go back. I'm not going to be able to show you the video, but it was really amazing to watch this woman ride along with absolutely a full glass of beer on a galloping horse and didn't spill it. She then gave it to one of the people on the trip. The other thing that we learned while we were on the Snifelness Peninsula was about, depending on the translation, either fermented shark meat. And what it is, I don't know why it's cutting out. Hello? I have to change the batteries. I'll just have to project, and not going to come through on the. Try it again. All right. So anyway, a Greenland shark is a shark that lives off the coast of Greenland in very deep water, in very cold water. About the water that it lives in has a temperature of about 27 degrees Fahrenheit. So as you can imagine, it's evolved with an antifreeze. And if you eat the shark meat without treating it, you'll either go blind or die or the like. Now, they originally harvested the sharks for their oil and their liver, but being in Iceland, they couldn't afford to throw things away, so somebody back centuries ago figured out that they could ferment it and that the bacteria would change the antifreeze and make it so that it wasn't toxic. So now rotten shark meat is a delicacy in Iceland. I tried it. I tried it. So what they do is for about 2 months, they put it in this tank. And then for about 6 months, they hang it out to dry. And then after they do that, it's ready to serve. This is Kirkjufell Mountain, and it was in the Game of Thrones, and it's one of the most photographed mountains in the world. And it was beautiful while we were there.
Do you know the elevation from sea level on top of that whole thing?
Yeah, it's about 1,500 feet. So it's not, the mountains in Iceland aren't real tall. So then we went up. Maybe, is there a way you can take me off so that I'm not beside it? I think that would help. Just change the display. We went to Akureyri, which is inside this inlet in here, and Akureyri is about 6 degrees below the Arctic Circle, and that's the location where we had the very best weather of the whole trip. And we went whale watching. And my wife was concerned about the waves and the like, but it was very nice weather. And there I am with a cup of hot chocolate on the trip. They put you in these suits, and you don't get cold. Now, if I'm really disappointed because there's a video of 2 humpback whales that came up by our boat, and you can see them dive down. So, if you don't mind, I'll try just a minute to bring that up. Is that all right?
That's all fresh water then, or something? All rainwater?
No, that part is salt water. Can you take the zoom down a little bit?
The sharks live to be 500 plus years old.
Right. Yeah. I left that out. They live somewhere between 300 and 500 years. They're an endangered species, so the Icelanders don't fish for them. But if they get tangled in the nets, then they take them in and process them. So, while the zoom is seeing about a third of the images, but there you can see the first whale come up. And that's the second whale. It was right by our boat, and it was just magnificent. It was wonderful. Okay. Share screen. Okay, and this is a video of Godafoss waterfall that's up at the northern edge. And there's just a tremendous volume of water coming down the waterfall. And it's really magnificent. Will it play again or not? Come on. Well, the videos aren't playing as well as I would like. I'm going to keep going. And this was a nice flower that I saw that was up by Godafoss that I was impressed with. Come on. I was impressed with the colors in this shot. What this is this is a geothermal power plant that is there. And it doesn't project real well, but there's a line right here that goes down. That line is a pipe of about 8 inches in diameter that carries hot water. The way that they heat their homes in Iceland, the majority of them, is by geothermal hot water that is piped around the island. And so they have a number of these plants at different locations that supply different populated areas. So this one would be the one supplying Akureyri. And we went to a place where what they did is they baked bread in the ground. And what there is there's a pit, and it's too much zoom. Can you take some of the zoom out of it? Yeah. All right. So they lower it in this pit. So they have a plastic container that they put each one of the breads in, and then bake it in the ground for like 4 hours. and the bread comes out. It has really a nice molasses taste to it, so it's really nice. So then we were in Akureyri, which is up at the far north, and then we flew down to Reykjavik, and this was the airplane ride, and I saw the Rift Valley, the glaciers that we saw going down. And then when we got to Reykjavik, one of the things we did is we went to the Harpa Theater. And I was really impressed with the architecture of that. And what they did is they formed it in hexagonal columns, because basalt makes natural hexagonal columns. And so they were copying that. You can see the bottom of the hexagons. And then this is on the inside, and they've got this nice walkway here where they've got tables lined up. And we had an architect with us, and he was critiquing the building. And he said, "What a waste of space." And I thought, what a nice place to sit. And this is looking down one of the walls. So you see, so it's very well insulated. And we went to see a Wagner concert while we were there. And so that was very nice. And of course, we had to have an Icelandic hot dog. Rumor has it that this is the same stall that Bill Clinton ate his hot dog at. But the hot dogs are very nice because what they do is they make, the 2 all-beef patty, special sauce, cheese on a sesame seed bun, the old McDonald's thing. Well, they've got a great sauce, and what they do is they fry up onions that are very crispy, that they break up and sprinkle on it, and it's delightful. And a must-see location in Reykjavik is the Perlin Interactive Museum. And what they do is they have movies of the eruptions and of the aurora and the like. And they have their own ice cave that they built inside the museum that you can walk through. They even have a lava demonstration. We chose not to go to the lava demonstration, but one of my friends walking through the ice cave. And one thing about Iceland is that the weather is very changeable. And so this is a particular cloud formation. It's called a rolling cloud because of the atmospheric effects that cause the warm air to come up, cold air, and it creates a long cylinder that you can see trailing away. And I thought that was pretty neat. And then we saw a number of rainbows because there were times when it was raining in one spot and the sun was out in another. So with that, I don't know if there's anything to ask questions about. I'm not sure I could answer them if you ask them. Yes.
What is their national product? What do they make? What do they do? How do they generate income? Tourism?
It's predominantly tourism. I think that's like 60% of their economy is tourism. Yes.
See a double rainbow?
That's a double rainbow there.
I couldn't see it from there.
Yeah, The second one is right here. It doesn't project as well as I would like. Yes.
About the Blue Lagoon.
About the what? Oh, yeah, I left out the Blue Lagoon. It's a nice lagoon. It's got a power plant very close to it. It's close to the Keflavik Airport. And it's about an hour ride out of Keflavik. And the water is full of silica. And what it is it's the discharge from the power plant. So it's cooled off enough to be able to go in the lagoon, and everything is coated with silica. And one of the nice things about it is they have a swim-up bar. So you can be in your, there in your swimsuit, swimming around, watching all the beautiful women. They had a few. And then you just swim up to the bar and order what you want. They have a very nice wrist bracelet system that so you can, if you want more than the drink that comes with the entrance fee, you just show them your bracelet, they scan it, and it automatically debits your account, and then as you leave, then you have to pay. But it was fun to go to the Blue Lagoon. And they have a Michelin star restaurant there that some friends of ours ate at, and they said it was just absolutely a phenomenal meal. Oh, one thing about going to Iceland, I hope you like fish because they've got fantastic fish. And the best fish meal we had was with wolf fish, which is absolutely one of the ugliest fishes you have ever seen. If you Google it, and I don't know if it's an eel, it may be an eel, but it tasted really good.
You gotta eat it before you see it, though. You don't want to eat it.
All right. Well, thank you very much.